commence. The show starts now. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. Reading forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly roundtable, we got no cables, predicting the future.
What you do today could be the difference between massive crypto gains or missing out on potential gains in this market. Myself on the panel, we have over 23 years combined experience in the crypto space. And today we're going to share our thoughts and our plans and what we are planning on doing to prepare for the next leg of the market and prepare for what's to come as well. We'll discuss all that and more on today's roundtable. Don't forget, nothing on the stream should be considered financial advice, strictly for education and entertainment purposes only. We also do not have any political affiliation, and any of our opinions do not reflect actual advice when it comes to political or electoral views either. So with that out of the way, I'd like to introduce the panel. We have Crypto Cruiser, Juan G, and Terry Motive. Juan G, how are you doing this week?
Gold took care of all my bills this week. That's all I'm going to say.
Terry, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Solana's behaving nicely.
Awesome. And Cruiser?
I'm great, but Ethereum's going to get a kick in the hard drive pretty soon.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we'll dive into that. We'll talk about gold and a few other news articles. And of course, off the top, we mentioned what we are going to be doing personally going forward in this market and what to expect, or at least what we think we're going to expect. Also, I'd like to mention that all the links in the description for everyone's channels are down there. For Terry's, we also have a Telegram channel new for the roundtable. The link in the description is for there as well for that. We also, if you want to do any trading, if you feel the market is ready to begin going up again, we have a couple of links for Blowfin and BitUnex. And of course, if you're looking to do streaming, or if you're looking for a new streaming service, StreamYard, which is the one that we use, they now have kind of a partner program. If you want to get started using StreamYard, if you want to check it out and see how it works for your streaming, all the links are in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you are notified when we release videos and when we're having a live stream. Okay, so gentlemen, obviously the elephant in the room is tariffs and everything that's going on down in the U.S. Recently, just before the stream went live, actually about an hour or so ago, it was announced that China now has 145% tariff, so that keeps on going up. Doesn't look like China is giving an inch. And of course, we all know how Mr. Trump is. He is not going to back down either. But the good news is, as many found out yesterday, that they did put a 3-month or 90-day pause on all tariffs. Speculation is that gives all the different countries time to strike deals with the administration so that the tariffs do not affect them once they are lifted, if they are lifted. In my opinion, I think the whole tariff thing is done. Most countries are going to strike a deal. And I think the whole tariff issue is firmly behind us, but that remains to be seen with China, of course. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about your thoughts on tariffs, yesterday's news, the pump in the market, obviously, which we will show on the charts, and how you feel this whole tariff thing is going to work out going forward. I'll start with you, Juan.
The whole tariff song and dance right now that's happening is an interesting one, because there are some people, I would not name names, that are calling for 400% tariffs on China. 400%. And that they deserve it and whatever, right? But I think yesterday's approval of the delay is like message heard, message received, right? Kind of situation. So I think that the market responded with the fact that Trump is considering, hey, what's happening to the market? He's looking at what the advisors are giving them and then moving forward, right? Today's response was more is, it's not enough. We need to have a plan. And I think that's why you saw a slight pullback, right? Kind of just saying we need a little bit more. And this is like kind of this little dance that's going on right now. And that's how I'm kind of seeing it. That's why you saw Bitcoin kind of dance around. That's why you saw gold kind of pump, because everybody put their positions in, ready for the next either market up or market down. We don't know yet. And then I think that's why you saw stocks kind of have its day. So we just have to keep an eye on what the news is saying and what Trump's the administration's next moves are going to be for the next couple of days, even weeks.
Investors sure have their trigger finger on their sell and buy buttons, because the last 2 days it's been a tale of ups and a tale of downs. Like, unbelievably, the market had a massive dump 2 days ago, and then yesterday a massive recovery, and then again today a little bit of a pullback from that. So it has been a roller coaster, to say the least. Terry, your thoughts on the whole tariff situation?
Well, I'm going to take a really unpopular and contrasting view and say that it's not about the tariffs, but and probably get into that a little bit later. But I feel like the whole 90-day pause thing, I totally feel like that was planned. I mean, we got the leak a couple of days ago, right? And there was the pump on that, and then the White House denied it, and so obviously it was a big heavy retrace. And then I have to admit, I was really surprised that they came out and was like, no, it's real, just a couple of days later. So I do kind of feel like it is a song and dance, but and investors are definitely jumpy. But I feel like we have to consider the possibility that the primary goals were achieved. And so it's pause time now to sort of reassess. And this is a big endeavor. I honestly think it's about far, far more than tariffs.
I tend to agree with that, but I also do agree that Trump has mentioned before that it's something that he was concerned about even in his last term, but because of COVID and everything that happened on the last term, or C-19, he didn't really get around to it. And you're right. The overall, I think he knew that he needed to do some changes, and some of the deals need to be reworked, because there was a lot of money being taken out of the U.S. economy. So I think part of it had to do with that. Maybe it was only certain countries, China being the main one, I'm sure. But he figured while he was at it, he might as well, make new deals across the board. But I think you're right. There's a lot more to it than just tariffs. Cruiser, yourself.
Well, I have to agree with Terry as well on part of it, especially on the unpopular opinion part, because I think my opinion might be unpopular as well. At first, I thought that the tariffs were about, well, what they were saying. Countries taking advantage of the U.S. I didn't believe that, but I thought that's what they believed, the administration. Now, and this is where the unpopular part might come in. I'm not sure, and I don't care. But as it goes along, I think it's more about Mr. Donald down there creating a disaster so that he can come up with a solution and look like the hero. As much as it is about the tariffs, I think it's about his whole kiss my ring attitude, and it's getting old. It's screwing with an already over manipulated market.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the longer it goes on, the more I become disinterested in one announcement to the next, because I think, oh great, well, more tariffs are coming, so in 3 days from now they're not going to be coming, so he looks like the golden child. That's just where I'm sitting on it now.
That's a good take. Yeah, he certainly does demand respect, that guy. But the bottom line is there are things he wants to fix, and the way he goes about it, I've said all along, I may not agree with his methods, but I understand what he's doing. Where I work, we're up in Canada, as you guys know, and where I work, tariffs and what do they call them? We'll call them like a duties, I guess, from product coming in from China, or if we want to export out. it's really bad. It is definitely uneven. China gets the better end of the deal, and our company actually has to go to court, to the Supreme Court, every 5 years or so, and spend over $1 million each time just to get an extension on the exemption of those tariffs, or else, the result would be China being able to unload or dump, as we call it, their fittings, the plumbing fittings is what we manufacture, into Canada and into the U.S. literally for a 2-for-1. They could dump 2 of theirs for the cost of what it would be for one of ours, and it's unsustainable. We can't compete, and we have to constantly go to court to get that ruling upended. And with this tariff thing going on, if it works out properly and if a proper deal is signed, we will no longer have to do that, and it would save our company a lot of money, a lot of headache, and it just makes everything on an even playing field. So, from where I'm coming from, in personal experience in my company, this was needed. It's something that's been needed for a long time, and not just in the U.S. but up here in Canada as well. So, I, for one, am happy that it's being addressed. And hopefully the final product is beneficial for not just them, but us as well. And then, of course, down in the US. But we'll see how that goes. But speaking of tariffs, there are some benefits, or sectors or areas of crypto that are really benefiting from these tariffs. And that would be DeFi. So I want to share this article that I came across on, I believe it's Cointelegraph. Yeah. Okay. So trade attention to speed institutional adoption, crypto adoption, that is. Mounting international trade tensions are rattling cryptocurrency markets, but they could also accelerate institutional crypto adoption. Several industry executives say, since U.S. President Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs on U.S. imports on April 2nd, core crypto experienced double-digit price swings, worsening an ongoing market rout starting earlier this year. Yeah, no doubt. We have been on a downtrend, and this certainly didn't help. However, the silver lining is that economic uncertainty has historically accelerated institutional interest in digital assets as a diversification strategy. Bitcoin has already shown signs of resilience amid the market turbulence, which it has for a little bit there. It actually did better than the S&P. Here's the graph down here, as you can see, which Bitcoin eventually did kind of do a little bit worse. But you can see they kind of match each other, and it shows the different dates of specific events leading up to the April 2nd Liberation Day. But getting into what I was saying before, Trump paused implementation yesterday of a portion of sweeping tariffs he announced last week on U.S. imports, while simultaneously vowing to hike levies on Chinese goods to 125%. And as we just mentioned, that's actually been hiked up to what was it again? 145%. Yes, that's right. The S&P 500, an index of the largest U.S. stocks, jumped more than 8% on the news, partially reversing losses tied to Trump's original tariff announcement, according to Google Finance. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Decentralized finance, DeFi, protocols are particularly well positioned to benefit from trade turmoil, which highlights the segment's strategic value, according to this dude from CEO and Concrete Global Finance. DeFi offers a neutral, borderless alternative for accessing credit, earning yield, and moving capital. For builders, this is an opportunity to double down on interoperability and censorship resistance. Still, crypto prices will continue to mirror the broader market for the foreseeable future. If the sell-off continues, expect crypto to behave just as high as a higher beta risk asset, correlated with the risk assets at the moment. They're saying here that it's possible that DeFi, which for many that are in it, you have liquidity pools, you have staking, you have lending and borrowing, which I've been, long been an advocate of that on this channel for a while. There's actually a couple of videos that we do have tutorials showing how to use Camino and Orca and a few others that are out there, Jupiter. And I think, more and more that the traditional finance, TradFi institutions become less and less trusted. I was going to say retail, but anybody who's in the finance world, if they're getting really tired of the traditional way of doing banking, well, you have DeFi, and the more DeFi becomes popular and mainstream, it's an excellent alternative to anyone who wants to make their money work for them. Gentlemen, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that DeFi could be a way for financial traders or even investors to maybe hedge their bets and maybe possibly make gains, even though the TradFi world isn't doing all that great? Juan, what are your thoughts on that?
We always thought, at least in this space, that DeFi should play a huge role in the economy and how we interact with different assets, right? But I don't think traditional DeFi might be the way, right? There's got to be a way to connect to regular institutions. There got to be some type of accountability put in place to prevent fraud. So, and you can't do that anonymously. It's just not going to happen, right? Especially when we dealing, we were just trading all single dollars, then fine, right? But we're talking about billions and trillions of dollars possibly being stacked upon DeFi. And I think the traditional DeFi, as much as we want it, and trust me, I want good old fashioned anonymity. It just doesn't work that way in the real world. And there has to be someone, a big player, to bridge the gap. And some have come up, but just haven't been able to kind of really solidify a deal that transcends, or at least sets the standard on how we can use DeFi daily.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. There needs to be something that comes along that can combine traditional finance and DeFi in one, in a way that makes sense and can actually be beneficial to both sides. That's a good point. Terry, how about you?
So I think DeFi definitely has a great narrative, and it probably doesn't need to evolve, but it's really not my specialty. It's just kind of outside my wheelhouse. I'm a charts and trading kind of guy, so I can hear what people are saying, but it's just kind of not my thing to comment on.
But in general, being a crypto guy, do you feel that it would be beneficial if they could somehow commingle?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
No,
Cruiser. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's the resolution of that conflict, the anonymity, and the publicness of the blockchain, and the security that that involves with privacy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it needs. Cruiser, yourself.
I can't really add more than what's already been said. The safeguards are definitely needed for those to commingle and coexist. But I believe there's definitely a place for it in today's society, today's world, but not without those safeguards. So how we do that with keeping the anonymity, I don't have that answer, but it needs to be there.
I agree. And, I'm just going to mention a little something that maybe people haven't thought of is, if you think about any traditional bank right now, they're the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, because you cannot go into a bank and ask for a certain amount of money and they have it on hand. They just don't have it. They do not have their customers' funds that are in their bank accounts. They do not have it backed with actual money. And that's a big, big problem. Bank runs, that's how they could happen. Not that we're anywhere near that in the financial world right now. I mean, a lot of people are saying that we're heading toward another 2008 financial crisis. I don't think we're anywhere near that, but if it did happen, you would see a lot of panic. Now, what I like about DeFi, for those that don't know, is, there's kind of we don't have enough regulation in the crypto space, let's be honest, but at least there is regulation to the point where if you're a DeFi project, the major ones especially, you basically have to have your customers or your investors' money backed one-to-one, which is something the banks just cannot say. So I think if there is a way to make intermingle DeFi with traditional finance, I think a lot of people eventually, Wall Street and that, they will be very, very curious and interested, because, like you mentioned, Terry, everything's verifiable on the blockchain. There's no fooling the system. Everything's backed one-to-one. It's just a stronger financial system. And the one that's currently in place in the traditional markets, it's a crumbling pyramid, as you could say, because it's old tech. It's been around. The current financial system has been around for a long, long time, which has worked great for all these years, for hundreds of years, well, a couple hundred years. But unfortunately now, in the era of money printing and IOUs, and the fact that the actual banks don't back their customers' money one to one, it's a crumbling house, and eventually it's going to come to a demise, or something is going to happen. So maybe utilizing DeFi and their business model in a bigger scale could be the solution down the road in the future.
Yeah, but there is a reason why it's not up and running, right? And the juxtaposition to what you're saying would be because no one wants their money tracked. And I'm not talking about the common person, talking about the people upstairs, Big Brother, right? Like, imagine every time you move a fund to pay to do a transaction, they know who did it, they know where it went, and they know how much. Right now, that lack of transparency is what allows the country to run. Let's just be honest.
Very true.
And I think that's what's really holding back. They need the fact that they can't disguise the blockchain, I think, is what's preventing DeFi to commingle with traditional finance.
I think that's why, if you notice, when I was talking about it, I mentioned retail. I didn't mention the big wigs or the elites, because you're absolutely right. They don't want anyone knowing what they're doing with their money, because that's where half of their wealth comes from, is maybe outside the box or not exactly legitimate business dealings. But yeah, you're absolutely right there. Black Hat says here, they still manage to track it and lead to drug dealers, etc. Very true. And what was this other one? Anonymity until they transfer it to their bank account. Yeah. See, everyone understands. But I mean, it's far from being perfect, obviously, the whole DeFi space, but it's something that we didn't have 10 years ago, or whenever DeFi came out, not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And so before that, the traditional financial system was all we ever knew. It's the only thing that was ever used for the longest time. And now there is an alternative. It's not perfect. It hasn't been, the wrinkles haven't been ironed out yet, but the groundwork and the framework is certainly there to build upon. And that's encouraging for me, because I would not like to see the current financial system, the way it's going, having that collapse. That would be devastating for everyone involved. They need a backup plan or something better to run off. Okay, thanks for your input, gentlemen. I have one more article here that I want to share. All right. Okay, not an article, sorry, just some data. So this was from this morning. The global market cap is 2.59 trillion, 7.91% increase. Obviously, it has come down a little bit since then. Like I said, this was a couple of hours ago. Total crypto market over the last 24 hours, 163.3 billion, which is a 41% increase. And the total volume in DeFi is currently 10.9 billion, which is 6.53% of the total market 24-hour volume. Total volume stablecoins, 158.7 billion, which is 95% of the total market cap 24-hour volume. So most people are, stables. They were probably going out of stables and into crypto with that pump that we had yesterday. And then Bitcoin's dominance is currently 62.59%, a decrease of, negligible 0.01%. What was the other thing I wanted to mention? Gaming tokens. Okay, the fear and greed. Here we go. As of a couple hours ago, it was at 39. Yesterday, it was at 18 at extreme fear. Today, we're just at fear. And then last week, extreme fear. Last month, extreme fear. No surprise there. We've been in extreme fear for a little while. Okay, so that's it for that. No, I mean, there's not a lot of a lot of news to go over. The major news articles or new headlines this week has all been about the tariffs and about China's reluctance to give in whatsoever. They are standing firm. I'm not sure exactly what the outcome of that is going to be, but I did want to ask you guys, and we can discuss this individually, but I will ask each one of you individually first. With the current state of the market, where we are now, what's going on with tariffs? The global money supply going up, money printing going to begin soon, Fed dropping rates probably fairly soon in the U.S. just the overall macro environment. What are you doing personally on your crypto plan, I guess you could call it, preparing for the next leg of this bull market, if we are indeed still in a bull market? Juan, I'll start with you. What from your years of experience, what is this market telling you, and what do you plan doing forward?
Right now, it's really observing the news markets, like paying attention to who's saying what, keeping an eye on what gold is doing. I think there's always a relationship through divergence. And I don't think we mentioned it, but gold hit an all-time high again.
Yeah, we'll get to
Not
the chart.
surprising there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the most important thing you can do right now is making decisions on what you're comfortable losing, right? What you're willing to move. Like I say, are you willing to move it to gold, make it a little safer? Are you going to diversify a little less and start consolidating some of your profits? Those are decisions that I kind of walk through to see what I'm going to do. What levels, right? Does Bitcoin need to kind of go to for me to be worried? Right? Is like 78, 77 that level? If it goes below that, is it possible to go to 74? And if we hit 74, like that, or the opposite, right? Is 88, is 83 that level, and then 85, and then 88, and bust through those resistances, right? So having a plan first versus reacting to the market, I think is probably the best course of action you can take at this time, right? And again, we're not financial advisors, but when just looking at the market, you can tell how the movement has been, right? And what ranges they're playing in currently. And all we're waiting for is what decisions are going to be made next. We're going to get another delay. Are people actually making deals? As much as I love to believe everything the administration says, right? They tend to sometimes over exaggerate truths, right? So, what does that look like? And if is it enough, right, to appease the elites? So, those are things I'm looking for. I see you pulled up the gold chart and you see a nice bounce off that EMA that we discussed on our last stream, and exactly correlated to the new all-time high. So congrats to those who took advantage of that and really killed probably made their day. I know I have my bills paid for a couple of months thanks to that nice little rejection. But at the end of the day, right? What are the next moves? How does the financial institutions respond to the next set of guidelines that might be coming out? And more importantly, right? Are we going to finally drop interest rates, right? So those are all news that I'm keeping my ears to, and hopefully we'll have some answers soon.
Yeah, that was a good call there, Juan, on our Monday video. You had mentioned that if that 200 could maintain as support, and in combination with everything that's been going on with the uncertainty with tariffs, yeah, it acted as perfect support and it bounced right off of it. So that was a good call that you made there a couple of days ago. Terry, what about yourself?
Have to agree with Juan there. You always make plans, right? I liken it to like driving, right? If you're driving along and you say you're in several lanes and there's other people around you, right? It's not a bad idea to just every once in a while consider what is the most stupid and dangerous thing that one of those people around me could possibly do, and what am I going to do if that occurs? And I think trading is a lot like that. So you want to plan for like worst case scenario. Oh wow, what am I going to do if the bad thing happens? As far as what am I personally doing, I feel like, so I'm long-term bullish on crypto, and if you are, I think that this is a good time you want to employ risk management, right? But I personally am looking to swing trade a portion of my holdings, my primaries, to just size up.
Okay. Yep. Good plan. Okay, I'll go to you, Cruiser.
All right. Well, as some know, I've been involved in some long-term leverage trades, some swing trading, some even very short-term, where they call it day trading. I don't know what that term is, but a lot of trading, taking advantage of the up and down that we've been seeing for quite some time. So now, kind of in line with Terry just said, I've I've closed all my trades. Just as of yesterday, I closed my last one. So now, what I'm waiting for, my plan is to gauge where the market's going to go now, and to do more swing trading with the as Terry said, with the primaries to increase my values there, and with the rest of my portfolio just kind of sitting on it, waiting for the market to take off like we've all been expecting for quite some time, and then take my profits on the way up, and then wait for the next dip to start all over again. But right now it's kind of an in-between stage. Now that I've closed all my trades, waiting for the next opportunity to open a couple of more and see where I can go from there.
All right, so you're basically sitting on your spot positions, and you're doing, or you're waiting for better market conditions before you get back into trades.
And
Okay.
that might only last a day. I'm impatient sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, glutton for punishment. Okay, well, myself, traditionally, everyone always says that the crypto market follows the 4-year cycle, and you know, what's the other term that people like to use? Trend is your friend until the end, or until it's not. In this case, yeah, my spot positions, I'm just holding. I'm not doing any leverage trading. This market's kind of, unfortunately, it's wait and see. You get, if you are on crypto Twitter at all, you're seeing half of the posts bullish, saying that we've hit bottom, and that things are going to start going up from here. Money supply. You hear all the different narratives, and then the other half are saying that that was it. We had a quick double top. According to the timeline, we should have had our peak by now. So that what do we get at? 109,000, high 108, yeah, 109,000. It was the top, and that all the signs are showing that we're going to start entering into a bear. It's really hard to judge because things are different this time. I know people are saying, oh, every bull market, people say that it's different, but this time it actually is, because we have things that are happening right now that have not happened in history since Bitcoin has been a thing, or crypto in general. For example, the administration down in the U.S., the things that they're doing with the tariffs is, it hasn't been seen before. We have ETFs both on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. So there's a lot of well, not just institutions, retail buys through the institutions that are buying the Bitcoin. You have Michael Saylor, who is just the Bitcoin god. He's buying every little bit he possibly can. And then you have, the administration pro SEC. Gary Gensler is gone. The government giving banks and institutions permission to deal with crypto how they see fit, allow customers to buy, or at least have them be able to offer it. So that's that side of it. We're coming out of, a lot of people say we were maybe in a little mini recession. I don't think we were in a recession. It was just kind of a financial pause. But stocks had been going crazy for a while. They're finally cooling off now. And then the global money supply is continuously rising. The U.S. is going to begin cutting rates, and when rate cuts happen, that usually frees up liquidity for retail to get into the market. So it's a very funny thing. The last time we hit the all-time high, back in, I don't even remember when that was. It seems like it was forever ago, but it wasn't. It was in January. It was just a couple of months ago. Retail wasn't really in the market. Most of the price was driven by the ETFs, and then traditional finance investors buying Bitcoin through the ETFs, through the institutions, which is not exactly the same as retail. When retail enters the market, they usually enter as the price is going up. And I mean, a little bit did a couple of months ago, but not to the point that we saw in previous bull markets. A lot of that has to do with the fact that things are just expensive, really, really expensive. I mean, the U.S. and to a smaller degree Canada, but US is the biggest, or some of the biggest contributors to the crypto market. And there just wasn't a lot of money to go around. Things were expensive. Inflation was high. And Juan, as you've alluded to many times, there just wasn't any disposable income for people to buy crypto. This time around, I'm going to hang my hat on it. I think, obviously the prices are down. That has a little bit to do with manipulation. A lot of the elites and stuff still want to get in. But I think what's going to happen, interest rates are going to come down. Tax cuts are going to happen. The tariff thing is going to be resolved. Global money supply is rising. Institutions continue to buy. It's basically an arms race when it comes to buying Bitcoin. I think just like I called back in 2023, I think this is going to catch a lot of people by surprise. And once all this is settled and things kind of calm down, the macro is a little bit more stable. I think we are going to get that next run, that next leg of the bull market. I don't know exactly how high it can go. That's obviously going to be determined by FOMO and that euphoric stage. But my personal opinion is when all the dust settles and everything is said and done, financially, people are going to have a little bit more money to spend, and they're going to look to, Bitcoin and crypto as a place to put their money. But that's just my opinion, based on everything I'm seeing. I watch the news every day. I follow the different channels and I kind of hear what's going on. We have, our own little election going on here in Canada. So a bit of my attention has been diverted to that, but that will be soon over. We have 2 weeks. We'll have a new prime minister up here in Canada. We will have a new trade deal with the U.S. And of course, the U.S. will be making trade deals with all these other countries. And I think, one morning we're all going to wake up and there will be nothing in the way. The negative news and all the bearishness in the market, which happens every couple of months, you get that cycle of negative news. And I think that'll all be done. And you'll start hearing the positive stories. And I think the price will begin to pump to reflect that. So, guys, thoughts? What do you think about that? You think I'm just blowing smoke, or do you feel that that's possibility? You got to think outside the box here, boys. Juan, what about you?
Listen, what you said makes sense. How much of that is blowing smoke? Yeah, you could be, honestly. Okay. Right. Opium is a dangerous drug. But at the end of the day, to quote Alfred Korzybski, there are like 3 choices in life. You can believe everything. You can doubt everything. But those first 2 choices have one thing in common. They eliminate the need to critically evaluate your information and form your own opinion. And this is what I love about this channel, is that we kind of combine different ideas and different scopes and call each other out on little things here and there. And we have great discussion. And we make our own opinions at the end of the day, right? Nothing here that we say is like preset or preordained or like colluded. No, we just kind of see what the market is saying and what it's giving us, and we make decisions or what information is out there, and we translate it the best way we can, right? But it's our own opinions, and we critically go through everything, every news article, right? A lot of channels just give you a lot of stuff, but they don't show you charts. They don't show you news articles. They just kind of just believe me because I say so. And in this case, right, I'll tell you that it could be fluff. We don't know. Like the biggest challenge we have is if I have to criticize our administration, is we just don't know what the direction is. Right. This is now going into May, right? First 10 days into April, and we still don't have a clear, decisive plan, right? And if there is, there probably is. I'm not saying a plan doesn't exist. It hasn't been articulated. And that's what I'm trying to go forward and trying to figure out is how can I take what the market is giving me to my own advantage, regardless of what's happening. And I think that, to me, that's more important than trying to speculate. Are we still in a bull market? Are we still in a bear market? We're not prognosticators, right? Nobody's going to get this right. But you can take the information that you have at hand to make the best decisions possible. Tomorrow, and I said this last time, right? That there's a possibility that the tariffs will be paused and the markets blow, right? And the markets, pump. And that's what happened. That little bit of news, that's simplicity. Now, is there collusion behind that? I mean, there's speculation out there that there was some insider trading happening. But that's the rules of the game. And we're just too small players to make anything out of it. So I know I went a little diatribe here, but at the end of the day, I totally agree that we should always be hopeful and do the best we can with what we have. And I think that as long as you're careful and you make judicious decisions with your finances, there's no way you cannot come out of this market on top.
Okay, just something quick I want to add to that is the fact that I think, the administration, Trump specifically, they know what they've done to the markets. And I think, I don't think he's going to do anything, or at least try not to do anything to make it even worse, because he doesn't want to be known as the president that crashed the entire stock market or crypto market by extension. Now, going back to what I feel is going to happen in the market, I've got my opinions, which I mentioned, but I also have, I live and die, not live and die, but I trust the charts, and I trust certain things that I see in the chart. One of those, for example, is this one right here. This is the 50 weekly moving average. Now, anytime Bitcoin has dropped below this 50 weekly average, we enter into a bear market. I mean, it wicks below every now and then. That's not a big deal. But if it bounces off it, that usually means price action will continue. And as you can see the other day when we did dip, we did wick below it, but it held as support. As long as we can hold this 50 weekly as support, we will continue the bull market. If we do close a weekly candle below this, then my view completely changes. Because if that happens, then obviously we're entering bear market territory. So that's one indicator that I have, and hopefully that holds. So far, so good. We'll see how this weekly candle closes. Now, here's the Bitcoin daily chart. As you can see, this is the support. Actually, I'm going to switch it to the weekly first here for a second so we can see. I've got this laid out going back to the last bull market. As you can see, the two peaks in the last bull market, that run up we had before that 8-month lull sideways. Well, that created a support, 3 points of contact. And as you can see, with yesterday's dump, we did wick below it, but it held as support perfectly twice. Let me get this back. Sorry, bear with me. I'm not good with charts. Okay. There, as you can see, it has held twice as support, like bang on, actually. And then I also have this other downtrend line, which I showed last stream. And it's created kind of a little bit of a pennant here. And we rejected at the top of that. So TA, as much as a lot of people say that it's witchcraft and, how the heck does it actually work? And I did explain it a couple of videos ago. It's really not rocket science. People have buy orders and sell orders at certain levels, and that creates those areas. So it's really not hard to figure that out. But as long as they do maintain those structures, then I remain bullish until some of these key areas begin to fail and we drop below them and close candles below them. Until then, I'm going to remain bullish until that happens, actually. So,
Agreed.
yeah, gentlemen, Juan, you were going to mention something there.
No, I totally agree that, and this is what I love about the channel, right? We look at the charts, we kind of show why we're bullish, what we're looking at, and then we kind of prove our theory, right? It works out great. We're not infallible, and that's why I still remain bullish, right? I have levels where I marked off on my own charts, and I'm like, okay, I can't go below this, and then the turn might be different. And here you are, showing the contrarian part to this, which is this is what I'm seeing. This is the parabolic move. This is what we need to go to maintain momentum, right? And to maintain structure, 100%. And here we are, right? And I think that crypto is still young, and I think people forget that this is not like the stock markets that has detailed cycles that we can kind of refer back to, right? So does that mean that this 4-year cycle is forever? No, maybe it changes. Maybe this time it's going to be 3. It can always be 4 for the first, 3, decades, whatever, and then fourth decade changes to 3. We don't know, right? Because everything's different, and we're obviously doing, like you said before, we're in unprecedented times, dealing with unprecedented issues, and with an administration that's doing unprecedented things. So of course, there's going to be uncertainty, and for people not to think that, I mean, not at least prepare themselves to deal with this eventuality. I think they maybe didn't, don't belong in the market yet, because all they're going to do is become liquidity. So, which I welcome, right? I welcome free liquidity, but this channel's not about that. So, I think that maintaining bullishness is the right way at this point.
And the other thing about this market too that is different than previous, as I had mentioned, is people are, they're not as quick to part with their money, and their money isn't stretching quite as far as it used to. So anytime there is any uncertainty in the market, they're quick to get it out because nobody wants to lose any money in today's times. I'll move on to Terry. Terry, your thoughts on the chart and the overall market currently, and what do you think moving forward?
Okay. Gosh, a lot of stuff. I totally agree with Juan that, Bitcoin is a maturing market. It's not mature yet, but you can consider it juvenile, whatever stage you want to consider it in. It is going through a maturation phase. So the fear and greed index, yeah, sure. How quickly they forget. It is different this time. Though I absolutely agree, and Juan took the word I wanted to use, unprecedented. I'll go with unparalleled. It's really hard to extrapolate right into these, because these are just crazy. The uncertainty and the volatility is just crazy, right? I think that really needs to calm down a little bit before we pick a direction. So, alternate viewpoints. Alternate viewpoints can be super valuable to consider. I feel like I personally am very much focused on like educating people and giving them like tools, like indicators and stuff. And it's kind of like lenses. It's just a different way to view the market. And so different interpretations, very much similar in my opinion. I think, an open discussion can be super valuable, because people think about things that just never crossed your mind. And the one last point, I want to touch back to that TradFi thing. The downside for the consumer has been that, like, the institutions hold the ledger, and the burden of proof is on you. Like, if you have however much they say, unless you can prove otherwise. And obviously that's a huge risk from a personal consumer point of view. I mean, you trust them, and most of the time they're good with it, but not all the time.
That's a very good point. Okay, Cruiser, I know you've been a little bit more bearish than the rest of the panel on most weeks. How are you feeling these days, and what do you feel going forward?
Well, I got a couple things to address. First, a comment you made a couple minutes ago when you referred to our little election we have up here. It's anything but little. If the wrong half of the country wins, then this country's going to be destroyed in the next 4 years. But anyway, moving on to what I think for now. A few minutes ago, I kind of laid out a summary of what my plan is as far as just kind of riding it out. And now I'll say the reason for that plan. With what's happened since November, whatever day that was, 19th, whenever it was sworn in, the level of fear and uncertainty that has been caused by all the different things that have been going on in the world since then. I believe it's going to take a long time to recover. People aren't just going to jump back in based on one news item or one event or what have you.
Except yesterday.
And well, even yesterday, it didn't last, right? And because of that, because of the amount of fear and uncertainty that has been injected into the crypto space, I believe we may have seen our top in January. I believe that might be it. Because by the time people do realize that, the crypto space is safe and rewarding, this market might be over. And that,
Some people will call those people exit liquidity, but
well, yeah. But that brings me to why I have the plan that I have and why I've exited all of my trades. Sure, I'm really hoping things decide to take off and I can start all over again. But at this point, I'm not convinced that we're going to go in the right direction. So I want to close all my leverage trades in preparation for that. I don't need to be losing what I do have.
smart.
So, and I definitely don't want to offend any of the chart masters out there. But my personal view, and I do like the charts, I refer to them a lot, but at the same time, I have it in my mind. Charts are historical data. They're an indication of what has happened. And sure, trends do repeat and they can give indications of what may happen. But because of that, I don't rely heavily on them, which is crazy to say considering how much trading I do. But I look at them as historical data, which we all know they are, but I don't look to them to predict the future. I know that might sound weird for people like, for what we do, but that's kind of how I look at it, and that's kind of how I formulated my plan. Because I don't believe I don't know if we'll hit 109,000 again on Bitcoin this market.
This market.
I think we might have seen the top, and the fear and greed will keep the market suppressed for the near future.
There's a lot of evidence that agrees with you, but like I said, until those major indicators are broken and the structure is broken, I'm going to keep my hope. But yeah, you could absolutely be right. Okay, so that is that part. I do want to go over two more things before we end the stream. What time we have? 52 minutes. Okay. First off, I want to show everyone the DGen's Crypto Weekly newsletter for this week. Weekly episode 24. Wow, time flies. So issue number 24, they call it Frenzied. And so for those that don't know, this is a free weekly newsletter. All you have to do is go to the link in the description, brings you to this website, which all you do is enter your email, completely free, and you get a newsletter packed with information each and every week right into your email inbox, which is great. So they give a quick market pulse, different articles here, USDT dominance, others dominance, total two, and then of course, usually they do a token of the week, but this week there isn't one simply because of the market. There really isn't anything to get excited about, which you don't want to be mentioning any crypto that ends up not doing well, especially in a market that we're in currently. But so yeah, it gives a lot of information. And they also have a Discord, which the link for that is in the description as well for the DGens Weekly. And lastly, I have an article here that I wanted to share. For those of you that know, we are a big fan of Pi. Juan loves Pi almost as much as he loves gold, I think.
Yes,
And,
sir.
that's right. So Pi Fest ended a little while ago. We did a video on the channel where we discussed their maps where you were able to find merchants and buyers and sellers of Pi right on a map, right on the Pi browser. So they had a Pi Fest, and Pi Network's first ever Open Pi Fest concluded. Now, the numbers were staggering, actually. It was held from the 14th of March to the 21st, so obviously just 1 week. Now, some of the numbers here, with 125,000 registered sellers, including 58,000 active sellers, and it had over 1.8 million pioneers that used the map of Pi, which is crazy. It had 45,000 reviews. It was a huge success by all accounts, and they plan on having more. Obviously, don't forget that the Pi map is still there. Just go in the Pi browser and you can look up different merchants in your area, or sellers if you want to sell your Pi, or sorry, buyers if you want to sell your Pi, and of course sellers if you want to buy a Pi. So throughout the event, Pi Fest is more than a celebration. It exemplifies and demonstrates Pi's real world utility, and that's the big thing right there: real world utility. Make this bigger so everyone can see. With Open Network fully live, PiFest shows how Pi can support genuine commerce and empower local economies worldwide. This event marked a critical moment in the Pi journey, moving from the enclosed network utility, which was limited to within just the Pi network, to practical utility at scale in open network, open to the world. And it was a huge success, as you can tell by the numbers there. The success of PiFest shows that pioneers and businesses are open and eager to transact in Pi, reinforcing Pi Network's long-term vision of building an inclusive peer-to-peer ecosystem powered by Pi. Now, one of the big questions that people had from what I was reading is, the cost of transactions on Pi, and very, very, very cheap, like fractions of a penny. So you're talking, Solana and XRP type numbers where it's very, very inexpensive to enact or transact on Pi using Pi. So anyway, yeah, the wallet worked really well. There were no hiccups, nothing went wrong. Everything went smooth. The entire blockchain stayed up. It didn't go down, didn't lag. So from all accounts, it was a successful Pi Fest. It's good to see. Good to see Pi doing well. Now, while we're here, we might as well check the Pi price. Haven't checked it yet today. And I guess I should show the screen. That would help, so everyone else can see. Let's go to the 4 hour here, just to get a better idea. Okay, so Pi was coming down. Juan, you and I had discussed this before, that we were wondering where Pi had found a bottom, and sure enough, right where we were discussing it, was it 50 cents? Well, a little bit below 46, but it seems to came up a little bit. Oh, sorry, let me show the chart. Came down, found that bottom, and then it has kind of stabilized from there. So that there's a good chance that it actually was the bottom. The sell pressure is easing up. As everyone knows, the migration had paused on Pi as they were securing the network and getting people switched over from text message security to email and fingerprint and scan and all that kind of stuff. And then they resumed migration. And, that was right around this area here. And then, of course, it was a lot of sell pressure from people migrating, getting their Pi. But it seems to have found a nice base here, a nice bottom. So we'll have to see how that develops. But that is Pi. I guess in conclusion, gentlemen, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. The whole tariff thing is, it's got everyone worried. It's got everyone scared. Good news today out of the U.S., though. Inflation is actually down. It was expected at 2.5, I believe, and it was at 2.4. Excuse me. So better than expected. And I believe we'll have to wait until the next data report, because there are many minds, brilliant according to their own opinions, that this is going to make inflation worse, what's going on currently. But we'll have to wait and see for the next one. But anyway, current numbers are bullish. Tariffs paused for 3 months. That's bullish for the market. A nice pump yesterday, came back down a little bit today. It's kind of leveled off. The only concern for the U.S. is China. We'll have to see how everything develops. But right now, according to the charts and according to the metrics, we are still in bullish territory. We haven't broken any of the important structure or levels, and we'll have to wait and see if that remains. So in conclusion, gentlemen, last words from you. We'll start with you, Juan.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next couple of weeks to see what the market is going to give us and what angles we can take to take advantage of the market. I think there's going to be good times ahead. And again, it just really depends on I'll be prepared. And can't wait. The thing's going to gold is, again, all-time high. So there's money to be made. Just got to find it, guys. Just to find it.
Beautiful. Terry, yourself?
Politically, I'm with you. Like, agree or not with the methodology, you want the gambit to succeed. The false dichotomy that's forwarded by certain galvanizing forces within, our political whatever. I'm really unhappy with that, and I think that's unfortunate because most of us we want the same things, right? We're not as far apart as it's made out to be. You don't buy into a lot of that. Narratives drives projects. This market, well, it depends on how you actually define that. I feel like. In conclusion, leave a like, ask a question. I think you really have in the comments down there, you really have access to a significant aggregate crypto expertise here. And it might spark some future conversations.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't forget, if anyone wants to leave a comment below, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions or engage in conversation. Absolutely. Cruiser, yourself.
My only final thought is a comment I hear quite often from naysayers, I'll call them, is or not a comment, a question is, what can you buy with it when we're talking about crypto? So, and that leads me to my point here. I'm really pumped that that Pi is emerging as one of the few actual currencies in the crypto space. I'm still mining it every day. I love Pi probably as much as everybody else here, if not, well, definitely as much as everybody else here. So I'm 100% on board with Pi, and I love where it's going. So that's all I got for now.
All right. Yep. Pi's been 6 years in the making, so they're doing things right. Of course, if you don't have a crypto pay-as-you-go type credit card where you can spend your crypto as fiat, Pi seems to be emerging as one that's easy to transact and use, and they have an entire ecosystem and a browser to use. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. That was a really good stream. Don't forget, everyone, nothing is financial advice that you hear in this stream or political opinion. It's simply our own ideas and what we personally believe. Don't forget to check the links in the description for Terry's YouTube channel and his X, the Degens links, Blowfin, BitUnex, all the beautiful links down in the description. Thanks again, gentlemen. And I guess we will see everyone on Monday for our weekend roundup with Juan G and myself. And until then, I was going to copy another channel, but stay safe. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment down below in the description and like the video if you liked what you saw. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Predicting the future using their bagels. Chart is throwing out numbers, no trouble. He finds the gems for real, no struggle. Calculations running through your mind, weighing options, seeing what you'll find. Crypto waves crashing like the tide. Hold your breath, it's a crazy ride.